Thomas Whitmore once said, "A manager's task is simple, to get the job done and grow his staff. Time and cost pressures limit the latter, but coaching is one process that accomplishes both." It is in this spirit that Thomas Crane wrote this book, The Heart of Coaching, which we're going to discuss a little bit today. Thomas G. Crane is an international consultant, speaker, and author that works with organizational development. Since 1988, he's been working nationally and internationally with Fortune 1000 companies and small entrepreneurial businesses, as well as the government. He helps them orchestrate changes in their organization, and he established his own company, Crane Consulting. He continues to travel across the country and internationally with leadership conferences and committees, helping organizations to focus on coaching culture and team building. Within this book, Thomas Crane set out to accomplish a few objectives, the first of which was improved communication. He wanted to make sure that people recognize that the improved communication is a foundation for leaders to succeed effectively at coaching and communicating with their direct reports as well as with their peers. Improved employee engagement is another focus of this book, recognizing the importance of creating a coaching culture and the value it brings to an organization in terms of retention and recruitment. These things are invaluable when you're developing a team within the organization. Finally, improved performance, identifying the key elements of transformational coaching and that these are needed to create a high-performing culture within your organization, and also to value that coaching relationship. These are some of the highlights of this book that we're going to be discussing today. This book was designed for organizational development on all levels, from frontline managers to directors to executives included. Thomas Crane left no one out of his planned as target audience. I'm sure this sounds like an interesting read so far, so let me tell you a little bit about the strengths of the book and some of the things that I liked. First of all, I liked that it was outlined well and it was laid out in an easy-to-read format. You know, most leaders are very busy and they don't have time to read through a lot of detail. This was very quick and easy to read, and it made it a lot more enjoyable. Also, the author used an effective use of acronyms in order to aid memory in some of the key concepts throughout the book. So it was something that was very easy to remember once you'd finished reading. Also, he provided a lot of real-world examples and a lot of dialogues that would kind of enhance applicability. A lot of times when you learn something, it's hard to see how that fits into your real-world and everyday life, but the author did a good job of giving you some examples of this. And then finally, I think that this book is applicable across all industries. Obviously, Mr. Crane is not anyone in healthcare, but the ideas that he brings forth are something that can be taken with you into our industry. So as with anything great, you know, things have strengths and they have weaknesses. So some of these shortcomings, as we'll call them, I felt that there was a little bit of redundancy of material and concepts, though in some aspects this might be viewed as a positive strength, because redundancy, we know, also increases retention. So you could look at it either way, but for me it seemed like a few things were reiterated a few too many times. Also, it's a little bit of a simplistic viewpoint. So if you were looking for a rocket scientist strategy or something monumental as an aha moment, and things that you were doing, you're not going to find it in this book. But what you will find is these are a lot of the things that we all know we probably should do, but we rarely take the time to do. The idea is, did the author accomplish what he set out to with the book? Well, in my opinion, you know, there's a lot of self-help manuals and a lot of management books out there that try to address the challenges that leaders are facing today. One of those biggest challenges is the industry faces with turnover of employees. According to the Encyclopedia of Business, most environmental contributors to turnover can be directly traced to management practices. It occurs when employees feel undervalued or ignored, or when they feel that they're helpless or unimportant. The Bureau of Labor Statistics also reported that over 3 million individuals in January 2011 left their jobs, and 245,000 of those were directly related to healthcare industry. So when you look at Thomas's book, you try to determine whether or not these things were applicable to these challenges that are facing management today, and they are. His focus on retention strategies and recruitment are critical to maintain, you know, your dedicated, loyal employees. And at the heart of those strategies is effective communication, employee engagement, and then support for professional growth and learning, all of which Thomas Crane outlines in his book and gives you effective strategies to deal with. So all of these elements were present in his book. So I feel he successfully outlined processes which support the key objectives. So would I read this book? Well, if I was going to rate it on a 5-star scale, I'd give it 4 out of 5 stars. I think some of the positives is that it was a quick and easy read, it did have some memorable content, and most importantly, it had some real-world applicability. What I wish it would have had is some things that were a little bit different that I hadn't been aware of before. One of those aha moments as I talk about, but it was nice to see at least some strategies to help you remember some of those key elements that are important to do on a daily basis. So overall, I think it's worth checking out.